Hello my friends, I hope you're having a fantastic week. Let's start with sight word review. Our first sight word has two letters. It starts with an A. The second letter is an S. The word is as. Great job. Now we have another word this week, but we haven't talked about it yet. And I'll give you a hint. It's a lot like as, A-S, but it has a H, an H at the beginning. Now what do you think that word could be with a H in front of as? You make your best guesses and we'll find out either Thursday or Friday. Great job. Today I have another awesome book that I found at our school library. It is called Seashells, More Than a Home. And it's really, really cool. It's about one of my favorite topics, the ocean and seashells. And we live in an awesome place where we can walk up and down beaches and find really, really beautiful seashells. I'm sure some of you have already done that. So let's go read this book and see what we can learn. Seashells, More Than a Home by Melissa Stewart, illustrated by Sarah Brannon. Every day, seashells wash up on beaches all over Earth, like treasures from a secret world beneath the waves. Spiraled or spiky, round or rigid, shells come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and all the colors of the rainbow. That's because seashells have so many different jobs to do. Seashells can rise and sink like a submarine. A nautilus floats because most of its shell is filled with a lightweight gas. To dive down, it pumps water into its shell. When the nautilus wants to rise toward the surface, it lets water flow out of its shell. Or hold steady like an anchor. The spiraling shell grips the sand. A turritella nestles into the soft, sandy seafloor and filters tiny bits of food out of the water, washing over its body. This sea snail can stay in one spot for weeks at a time because its screw-shaped shell grips its surroundings. The shell holds the little mollusk in place. Seashells can pry like a crowbar. When a hungry lightning whelk spots a clam, it climbs on top of its prey. The hunter slips the edge of its shell between the two halves or valves of the clam shell. Slowly, the whelk pries the clam's shell open. Then it slurps up the soft, slimy animal inside. Or bore holes like a drill bit. To stay safe from predators, an angel wing clam tunnels into the seabed. As the mollusk spins in circles, the rough ridges on its shell scrape and grind the sand, mud, and clay around it. Over time, the clam wears away a burrow up to 3 feet deep. Seashells can flit and flutter like a butterfly. A scallop spends most of its time lying on the ocean floor, but when a predator attacks, the scallop clamps its valves together to propel itself out of harm's way. Some kinds of scallops hop and zigzag across the ocean floor. Others dodge and dart, or skim and glide through the water. Or curl up tight like an armadillo. Like a knight's suit of armor, a chitin's shell has flexible plates that make it easier for the mollusk to move. When a hungry sea otter plucks a chitin off a rock, the plates come in handy. They let the mollusk roll itself into a ball to protect its soft body. Seashells can let light in like a window. Some areas of a heart cockle shell let sunlight pass through. That's good news for the tiny algae that live inside the clam shell. Like plants, algae needs sunlight to make food. It's also good news for the heart cockle because it eats some of its tiny tenants, the algae that lives inside it, or belch out waste like a ship's smokestack. All animals make waste material, and they need to get rid of it. An abalone's waste escapes through a row of holes that runs along one side of its shell. Seashells can wear disguises like a spy. This is a picture of a thorny oyster shell without hitchhikers.
The spines on a thorny oyster's shell are the perfect home for sponges, algae, and other small creatures. As these hitchhikers grow on the outer surface of the oyster, they hide its shell from hungry hunters. Or hide in plain sight like a soldier in camo clothing. A flat periwinkle's shell matches the color of the seaweed it lives on. This makes it hard for the enemies to spot the little sea snail. Seashells can open up like your mouth. When mussels feel safe, they open their shells and suck up tiny bits of food floating in the water, and close quickly like your eyelids. But when mussels sense danger, they snap their shells shut to protect their soft insides. Seashells can send out a warning like the signal from a lighthouse. When a yellow-coated clusterwink senses danger, it produces a flickering light. The mollusk's shell magnifies and spreads the light, creating a green glow that tells enemies to keep their distance. Or smash other shells like crashing waves against the shore. A tulip snail's favorite food is other mollusks. When it spots a tasty clam, it hurls itself at the prey. Crash, boom, bang. The tulip snail keeps slamming against the clam until the clam's shell shatters. Then the hunter slurps down its meal. But most of all, hard, strong seashells make good homes. They protect like a fortress, keeping mollusks safe in their underwater world. The kinds of seashells. Many ocean animals have shells, but the word seashell usually refers to the hard covering that protects a mollusk. A mollusk is a soft-bodied, legless animal. Many mollusks move around on a muscular foot. The 5 largest groups of mollusks are bivalves. Clams, mussels, oysters, and scallops are all bivalves. Their shells have 2 halves, or valves, that can open and close. Some bivalves burrow in the sand. Others attach themselves to hard surfaces. Most bivalves filter tiny bits of food from the water. The next one are cephalopods. Squids, octopuses, and cuttlefish are all cephalopods, but the nautilus is the only cephalopod with a shell on the outside of its body. All cephalopods swim through the sea in search of prey. Chitons. A chiton's shell has 8 overlapping plates. Chitons live in shallow ocean water. They crawl along the rocky bottom, grazing on algae and sponges. Gastropods. Gastropods, or snails, are the largest group of mollusks. Most snails have a coiled shell. They can live in the ocean, in fresh water, or on land. They eat a wide variety of foods. And then scaphopods. A scaphopod, or tusk shell, has a long tube-shaped shell that is open at both ends. These animals burrow into the soft areas of the ocean floor and catch tiny creatures with their thread-like tentacles. Very interesting, my friends.
Great job, friends. Wow, I really love that book. It shows all the different variety in the different animals and mollusks and sea creatures and the life that we can find in the ocean. I just think it's very fascinating. So, if you have any seashells that you've already collected and you want to illustrate them in your science notebook and maybe write about some of the features that you can identify on those shells, that would be a great idea. Also, next time you go to the beach or to the ocean, keep your eyes peeled for the different seashells you could find, and maybe you can identify some of the characteristics that we read about in our story. Well, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you again real soon, friends. Bye-bye.